As we say in the court of law, come at me, dog.
You know, we are a country based on laws, and we've had hot, contested elections going back to the very beginning. But one of our hallmarks has always been that we accept the outcomes of our elections. We do the best we can to have free and fair elections, which we do. And somebody wins and somebody loses.
Hillary Clinton apparently still not over her 2016 defeat to President Trump. She's now claiming the election was stolen from her.
So what he said tonight is part of his whole effort to blame somebody else for his campaign. And for you can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
This is 17 agencies.
17 agencies, all in agreement, which I know from my experience as a senator and secretary of state is hard to get.
He was asked whether or not he agreed that the Russians and Putin were hacking. He said that the 17 United States intelligence agencies that have come out and said on the record that they know it was Putin and the Russians.
We've never had a foreign government trying to interfere in our election. We have 17 intelligence agencies, civilian and military, who have all concluded that these espionage attacks, these cyber attacks, come from the highest levels of the Kremlin. This has come from the highest levels of the Russian government, clearly from Putin himself, in an effort, as 17 of our intelligence agencies have confirmed, to influence our election.
17 different United States intelligence agencies.
Look, this was put out there as weaponized information. This was put out there for purposes of the Democrat Party, people like Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, all the others, to put this up as a weapon against President Trump. So we have to understand that this was meant to do what it did. Attempt to undermine the belief that our election process was valid. It was, and simply put, the mainstream media colluded with the president. I mean, with the Democrat Party to go against the president.
They concluded with high confidence that the Russians ran an extensive information war campaign against my campaign to influence voters in the election. I was very concerned that even now, after 17 intelligence agencies in our government, both military and civilian, have confirmed that Russia has engaged in cyber attacks. The Russians, in my opinion, and based on the intel and counter-intel people I've talked to, could not have known how best to weaponize that information unless they had been guided. And here's
guided by Americans.
Guided by Americans. And
look, the Democrats had this period of about a month and a half where they were so stunned by their loss, probably the most surprising in our lifetime, that they were literally speechless. Now they seem to have found a way to deal with it, which is to say it was a stolen election.
The corruptor did not win the 2016 presidential election. It was stolen by Republicans, and it was only because of that that he was able to apparently win the election.
They start with Putin, and that's, the idea of having this entire probe, Obama demanding a report.
And I think, Abby, we need to go after, investigate who leaked the information to begin with, knowing it was not completely correct, purposely spinning this as part of the mainstream media narrative against the president. And again, the American people have an intelligence community that's supposed to be protecting them, and you have political appointees like these guys doing the wrong thing, manipulating and weaponizing information. Yeah.
Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign manager, Robbie Mook, testified today that Clinton herself approved the idea of giving the Alfa Bank story to a reporter as part of the Trump-Russia narrative. As you'll remember, that suggested that there were connections between Alfa Bank and the Trump campaign server. The FBI looked into that and found nothing suspicious.
I know nothing about this. I'm not, I can't deal with every one of his conspiracy theories, but I hope you all have something to eat and something to drink on the way back to New York. Thank you.
Could you make out the last question where she responded and said she couldn't keep up with all his conspiracy theories? I couldn't make out what that last question was.
Yeah, I couldn't hear it. Andrea's, I think, can hear us. Andrea, what was that last question?
Question was about whether or not, as Trump said, the Clinton campaign was behind some of the protests at rallies. It was a question about, what have been conspiracy theories, and actually a heavily edited video claiming that the Clinton people had staged some of the protests and violence at Trump rallies. And she said, I can't keep up with all of his conspiracy theories.
There was a little bit of surprise in the courtroom when Robbie Mook, the 2016 Hillary Clinton campaign manager, just answered a question casually that she personally approved, sending that story to the media. As you mentioned, it deals with an allegation or an accusation about the Trump organization, not the Trump campaign, but the Trump organization having a back channel to a Russian bank named Alfa Bank, which has some ties to the Kremlin.
All that we're asking from Donald Trump is that he stick with the facts.
I would have described that this does go back to Hillary Clinton, that this does go back, this conspiracy does lead directly back to the DNC, and these people are involved. It was the dirtiest trick of all times in terms of politics.
Yeah, and you're right. It's Hillary, it's her campaign right hand, it's Robbie Mook.
Is that experts are telling us that Russian state actors broke into the DNC, stole these emails, and other experts are now saying that the Russians are releasing these emails for the purpose of actually helping Donald Trump.
What evidence is there that the Russians were behind this in terms of the hacking or in terms of the timing by WikiLeaks?
Well, we need to let the experts speak on this. It's been reported on in the press that the hackers that got into the DNC are very likely to be working in coordination with Russia.
You're basically suggesting that Russians hacked into the DNC and now are releasing these files through WikiLeaks to help elect Donald Trump.
Well, this isn't my assertion. There are a number of experts that are asserting this. I think we need to get to the bottom of these facts. But
that's why we don't want Donald Trump's lies and distortions to be a distraction. We're hoping that those can get checked so that Hillary can focus her time.
I was very concerned that even now, after 17 intelligence agencies in our government, both military and civilian, have confirmed that Russia has engaged in cyber attack.
Definitely a little bit of a surprise in the courtroom, I think, from not only the government, but the defense when Robbie Mook went ahead and admitted that Clinton herself gave the go-ahead for disseminating that story, which turned out to be false.
And, she was in a lot of trouble, if you remember then, for her private server where she was deciding which emails to delete. And she was in a lot of trouble for that. So she was like, what can we do? I know, we'll say that Trump has a secret server with Russia. So that's where the whole Russia idea got cooked.
Maybe you guys could do like a choir of Lock Her Up for us. Lock her up. You guys are the ones that are obsessed with Hillary Clinton.
I feel bad. Hillary still wants to run in 2024.
Totally.
She will never stop running for president. Someday the Trump rallies are going to be chanting, "Help her up." She'll be 107 and making her way out there to the podium. Well, I'm going to turn this country around. And this exposes her for what she is.
Mad child, I am back the phantom. Fire in my eyes like a jack-o'-lantern. You don't want to try to attack a panther. I will crack you in half like a plastic planter. Mean-spirited plus a clean lyricist. Stay furious, take this shit serious. Love Herman Miller and I love Cartel. Tryna make killer money like a drug cartel. About to rain on your parading, get some retribution. Sharpening my blade, I'm the executioner. All my enemies will hang, still got venom in my fangs. I'm not very sentimental, I go mental when I bang. They pretending to be gentlemen, too much backstabbing. Carry heavy metal, call my bitch Black Savage. Just admit it cause this kid rap savage. 10 years later, I still spit black magic. Still an angry kid with a mangled head. This is